Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Patman. And I am like a little kid in a candy store right now. Because today is a very special day. Yo guys, Patman from the future here. Just want to let y'all know that if you're just interested in the new PC build and not me breaking down my old PC, that part of the video starts at 23 minutes and 14 seconds. But I highly recommend watching the whole thing because I go over some valuable information while breaking down my old PC. Alright guys, continue this video. I figured I would take y'all along the journey with me because I am building my first PC. And you guys know that Halo recently got announced for PC. Halo Infinite will also be on PC, so I decided it's time to step it up and try something new with gaming and also learn some things and do some cool nerdy shit. So I'm going to attempt to build my first PC. I'm taking you guys along with me, and I'm going to try to give y'all some pointers that I've learned by watching other people. I've watched a bunch of videos. Hopefully you guys find this helpful. And this is going to be a little bit of a different PC build than you're probably used to seeing. Usually people buy stuff from scratch. I'm actually going to be taking some components out of my old PC, putting them into this new one, while also upgrading a bunch of components as well. And we'll get into that in the video. So stick around. This is going to be a long one. This is going to be a long process. I'm going to edit out as much of the filler and I'll fast forward certain parts when I'm screwing stuff in and things like that. But the essential stuff that y'all need to know, make sure you stay tuned. And I appreciate y'all coming by. Share this video for me. Leave a like, thumbs up. This is going to take a lot of work to build this thing. It's also going to take a lot of work to edit the couple plus hours of footage that's probably going to take me to make this thing, considering it's my first time. So thank y'all for coming along the ride. Make it past the intro and then we'll get this PC build started. I'm excited. Alright, you guys won't have to stare at my ugly mug, so that's good. You're going to see mostly my work area instead of me. But I'll go over first and foremost the tools that I'm going to be using. Number one, a shot glass, because you want to get tipsy. No, don't drink while assembling a computer. Don't put any liquids around the computer, and then don't do anything that will impair your judgment while building a computer. This is just for like screws and stuff, so I don't lose them. I got a couple screwdrivers. Any normal screwdriver will do. Actually got some alcohol wipes because I'm going to be cleaning my CPU. I got some zip ties for cable management, some scissors to cut these cables, or these zip ties, not the cables. I don't want to cut the cables. And then here are some of the supplies. We don't need this stupid thing. Okay, this is thermal paste. Extremely important stuff right here. Only use a very little bit of it, but extremely important for your CPU longevity. You got your case. I highly recommend getting accustomed to your case, doing some inspections, which we will do later. First thing we're going to do is take apart this PC, so that'll be the fun thing. If you guys are doing what I'm doing and you're taking an old PC and you're moving some components over to a new one, and you don't have Windows, before you take that PC apart, download Windows. There's a free tool that, it's not illegal or anything, it's a free tool on Microsoft, I believe it's Microsoft's website, but look it up on Google. There's plenty of tutorials out there that allows you to create a recovery Windows file on a USB flash drive. You want to go ahead and put that on a flash drive before you take your computer apart, because you're going to need it for your new computer if you don't have a copy of Windows. I actually just bought a new solid state drive that I put into my old PC. It was a huge pain in the butt. It took me days to figure out what was wrong. The PC wouldn't recognize it, but finally got that fixed, and my Windows is on that solid state drive, and I'm moving all that over to my new PC. So let's get started. We got our case over here, which I'll show you guys later. I showed you the thermal paste. My graphics card and my CPU cooler are coming in later today, so I will edit that in when that comes in. By the time it gets here, we'll probably still be working on it. This heavy thing is my power supply. So everybody knows what a PC components you need, right? To build a PC, you need a hard drive, you need a motherboard, you need a CPU, which is like basically the brain of the whole computer. It's the processor. You know when they say Intel inside, that's your CPU, or you could get an AMD one. And then you have your GPU, also known to us gamers as a graphics card. So we'll go through. Oh, and RAM. RAM is very important. And now I'll show you guys everything too. Each power supply is different. You'll see a 80 plus gold rating. Sometimes you see bronze, silver, things like that. That's just to let you know how energy efficient it is, how good it is at putting power into the system when it needs to. Platinum, I think, is the highest. There might be one higher now. I think it's maybe there's a titanium or something like that. But don't cheap out on your power supply. Power supply is extremely important. This one's like fully modular, so I believe that means I could take the cords that I'm not using out, that I don't need. The biggest thing about the power supply, don't be cheap on it. And depends on what graphics card you get. The other thing you guys have to realize, and this is something I almost made the mistake of, when you're building a PC, you have to do your research. And that is the #1 thing, because there were certain things I didn't know. See, I was about to buy a new motherboard to put I was gonna take my processor out of my old PC, slap that bad boy on a new motherboard, and I would have been in for a rude awakening, because I can't do that. My CPU is so old, I think it was like from 2015. This computer's a few years old. Still a good CPU, that's why I'm not ready to upgrade it, but it doesn't fit. I was gonna buy one of the newer Z390 motherboards, and that only fits the 8th and 9th generation Intel processors. I have a 4th generation Intel processors, so that would have not worked out. So you have to do your research. There's certain motherboard types that your CPU will only fit into. There's certain motherboard sizes that your case can only be compatible with. So when you're shopping around and putting your parts together, use PC Parts Picker first, because it will tell you if there's anything wrong with your set, if there's anything conflicting that won't work together. But do your research and you should be fine. So the old PC I have here, like I said, bought this a few years ago, is a Dell XPS 8700. It has a 1 terabyte hard drive. I just put a 500 gigabyte solid state drive in it. So first things first, there's always these hand tightened little screws. There's my shot glass. Pull that out. Now, if you guys are on carpet or anything like that, there is a big factor of creating some sort of static electricity and ruining components of your PC. You have to be extra careful with that. They sell these little bracelets you can use to ground yourself to something metal. I'm pretty sure just touching something metal will do. It's a very rare occasion, but you have to be extra careful, because this is all really expensive shit. So you don't want to do something stupid to ruin it. I don't have to worry about it. I'm not on carpet. I'm not creating any static electricity. I'm not rubbing socks on carpet or anything like that, so be careful with that. Now, your case should come with all the screws and stuff that you need, and all the fans that you need, which is nice. So I won't have any need for these fans anymore. Right here's your hard drive. I'm gonna unplug that real quick. This is just a regular hard drive, and right underneath it is my solid state drive. And right here's my old graphics card. Actually, this is not the graphics card that came with the PC. I upgraded it. It was in desperate need of an upgrade when PUBG came out, so I went ahead and upgraded that. I'll probably be selling this, so if anybody's looking for it, this is a GTX 1050 Ti. I believe it has 4 gigabytes of memory inside of it. It runs everything pretty good. I was just playing Gears of War 4, 60 frames, nice and even on like medium or high settings, so it runs pretty good. It did its duty, but it was time for an upgrade, especially for Halo. We're gonna go balls deep in this thing and kind of future-proof a little bit, and then like I said, I'm going to actually keep the motherboard and I'm going to keep my processor, but next year I'm probably going to upgrade those two. And then by then, everything will be brand new in the PC and it will be ready to go. The thing I'm going to do probably is take this graphics card out. Here's your GPU. This one's fairly small, doesn't consume that much power. It's in good shape. I'm gonna try to probably sell it for about 125 bucks. I think they're going for like 150 on eBay, so we'll keep that bad boy right there. So there's your CPU cooler. Here's my old power supply. I'm going to take this hard drive bracket off. And pretty good rule of thumb when you're doing all this and putting together is to not be rough. Don't be too rough with this stuff. This is expensive equipment and you do not want to fuck it up. I gotta find some good music to put in the background for you guys while you just watch me do all this hard work. So, keep myself grounded there. There's your hard drive. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. And here, see, I bought a bracket for my solid state drive. That's something you guys, like I said, inspect your case to see beforehand before you get started, because it might not fit your solid state drive. These are only 2.5 inches, depending on which one you got. So you might need a bracket. They're really cheap and they come, this one came with some SATA cables. All right, folks, so what I've done is remove all the wiring from my motherboard, all the wires that were plugged in. I've taken them all out. The only one I'm not really sure about is this one, which is connected to the WLAN, so something to do with internet. I might need to save this wire and move this over to the new PC because I don't know if my power supply is going to have that wiring. So always try to think ahead if you can. You know, don't do it like, hey, you know, maybe I don't have that. Maybe I need to bring that over. And what we're gonna do next is I'm going to remove these screws holding the motherboard in place. Isn't it just crazy? You know, you guys ever think about crap like this where it's just like, how did somebody create a computer? How do they know that all these little circuits and all these little chips and transistors and stuff like that could compute and do what we, you know, need them to do today? I still find it amazing how the world has figured this out. How any person figures it out, but I guess that's why a lot of people are a lot smarter and richer than I am. And it looks like my screws are numbered in soy, which is nice because this is an older motherboard and they say the older ones aren't labeled very well, but it looks like I see some labels on here, so hopefully that helps me out later when I'm trying to plug everything back in, because that is supposedly the hardest part of building a PC, is plugging in your power supply lines where they need to go. So hopefully we don't struggle too much with that. as you can tell, it's a little bit of a tight squeeze in this case, so the motherboard will be happy to have a little more breathing room in the new case. This is why I tell you guys do your research as well, because I didn't know this till recently. So right here's your RAM. This is where your RAM is. I just upgraded my RAM, and you have to look up your motherboard's manual. But you see how these are color labeled here? Black, white, or white, black. That is actually labeling and telling you where to put. Say I only had 2 sticks of RAM here. This is probably a dual channel motherboard, so I would have to put 1 stick on the black and the other stick on the black. You don't want to put them side by side if you only have 2 sticks. Since I have 4, I don't have to worry about it. I can just put all 4 on at once. One more thing about motherboards, and this is why I have the cardboard here, is for the motherboard so it doesn't sit on something hard. Something about RAM. Look how beautiful this is. Now the newer motherboards probably take if you're buying a newer one, it's going to be DDR4 memory. It's a totally different stick than this. This is DDR3. This is for older motherboards. Now, it's not backwards compatible or anything. You can't just put a 4 into a 3 slot, 3 into a 4 slot. So that's why you have to do your research. If you have an older motherboard, DDR3 memory only. And those are 8 GB sticks, and these are 4 GB sticks. And this is what came with my PC so many years ago. So that is the stock RAM. And what the RAM does, just allows you to do multiple processes at once. I'm sure y'all knew that. Alright, so we're gonna take this bad boy off. I'm gonna show y'all what the CPU looks like. Obviously, if you clicked on this video, you're interested in this kind of stuff. If you're still watching and you're like, I'm so bored, this is so nerdy, then maybe building a PC isn't for you. But to me, this kind of stuff is interesting. Technology is at an all-time high right now. I don't know if you guys just saw the Google conference about their new streaming service, but technology is insane. But upgrading your fan is always a good idea. That is a stock one. If you buy a new processor, it is going to come with a fan, but I would go with one that is not stock. And you could always go water cooled too, or liquid cooled. That is way more complicated. I have no idea about that kind of stuff. If you guys are wondering why I'm not keeping this power supply, first of all, it's a cheap one. I told you guys, do not cheap out on your power supply. But this one is not strong enough to run my new graphics card. It's recommended 650 watts for my new graphics card, so I bought a 750 just to have a little overhead. You could probably get away with like a 450 if you want to really roll the dice. I've seen people roll with lower wattage power supplies that the graphics card recommended higher, but you kind of want to stay away from that kind of stuff. And I bought that one because there was a difference. This one and the 650 was either a 7-year warranty or a 10-year warranty, so I was like, fuck it, for 20 bucks more I'm gonna get the 10-year warranty, and then I'll future-proof my PC as well, so in case I upgrade my graphics card again, guess what, I got a power supply that can handle it. So I'm trying to think ahead. Certain people out on the interwebs, if you guys know who I'm talking about, Verge, refer to this as a brace. I know not to refer to it as a brace now after watching everybody destroy the Verge for that. This is an I/O shield. I/O shield, just like the moon I/O. We need this for our new PC. So I'm going to actually get a flat head. There it is. We're gonna need this for our new PC. I just cleaned it up a little bit with the alcohol wipe. I'm gonna do the same thing with the CPU. Don't use anything that has lint or anything on it. You cannot get anything on the top of the CPU. And I'm actually gonna attempt to take the CPU out just to show you guys how to put one in case you need to know. And you don't wanna press too hard down on the CPU. But something strangely satisfying about this. For, you know, all you manly men out there who love working on cars and crap. This is like a nerd's car. This is like what, you know how you feel after you've built something or made something, created something. Intel Core i7 4790, clocked at 3.6 gigahertz. So it's still a pretty good processor. That's why I'm not ready to upgrade just yet. So I'll save myself the money and spend it on the graphics card. Alright guys, there is your CPU. Now, when handling a CPU, you have to be very gentle, and I highly recommend holding it, how cool that looks, holding it by its sides. You don't want to touch any of these pins on the underneath because that could damage your processor, and you don't want to damage processor. These things are pretty damn expensive, but it is really cool. So when you guys are installing these, like I said, in case you have a new one, all your processors, first of all, make sure your motherboard is compatible with your processor, like I told you. But I don't know if you guys can see it. There's gonna be this little gold triangle on the corner. And on your motherboard, what do you know? There's a triangle in the corner. You match the triangles together. You gently place down the motherboard. And it should pop right in, just like that. You don't need to apply pressure or anything. Your CPU will just feel right. And if it doesn't, then try again, folks. Put all these little pieces. I believe the AMD chips are different, but see how that's like a locking mechanism? We'll put this back on there. And when you're doing stuff on the motherboard, like as far as tightening, never over tighten. Just until it stops moving, you don't need to tighten it anymore. Boop. Just like that. Boom, baby. That's how you install a processor, guys. Pretty simple, right? So far, so good. I'm having fun. Hope you all are. Such a fucking nerd. SATA cables, because I need some of those. Alright folks, we are back. I had to take a nap. I was exhausted, so got a couple hours of sleep. I wake up and our fan, CPU cooler, is here, and the beast is here. Our graphics card. So that's good. Now we have all the pieces needed to do this thing. Hopefully we do it right. So first step is I'm going to be putting in this IO shield, and just want to make sure that we position our motherboard. Our motherboard is going to go straight in like this. That's what I would assume. And it looks like, yeah, IO shield will be just like that. So kind of just want to line it up, make sure you're good here. All right, looks good right there. And like there's these raised screws that you rest your motherboard on that your case will have. I think some cases have them pre-built in, and others will just come with it on, you know, where you could attach them. So you have to line up your holes. And the IO shield, if you guys can see, I don't know if you can, it's got these little ridges. So when you push in on it, it's gonna go past that ridge, and you're gonna hear a click. And when you hear that click, you know you got it in right. So we're gonna attempt to pop that bad boy right on in. That is not the click I am looking for. Okay. There we go. Much better that time. And looks good. Ba-boom. We got our IO shield put in. Cool. Step 1 complete. And while I was messing around with the case, I realized that some PC cases have this, some don't. But I got little brackets right here for my solid state drive, which is cool. Mine is actually nice enough to include some zip ties, so I don't even need it. And these are nice. These are nice little teeny whiny ones. Your hexagonal screws are going to be your motherboard screws. So these are conveniently labeled for me, so that's nice. But I'll show you guys. It's just a screw with a hexagonal, what do you know, face on it. Jesus, this thing is gigantic compared to the other one, which hopefully means it's better. I mean, this was a really highly rated one on Amazon. It's a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Black Edition. That's the new CPU cooler. Well, that's the old one. This one should do a lot better job of keeping it cool. I guess probably all of them should come with thermal paste. I guess I would check your package contents. This one came with its own thermal paste, so I am going to not use this one. I'm going to use the one I bought because it was rated really good, so just in case. I'm only putting the best of the best that I can afford into this PC. So first things first, there's a bracket that goes on the back. I can't take this bracket off because that's what's keeping this little mechanism down on my motherboard, or on my CPU. Label 2 if you're using an AMD processor by any chance. It says AMD on one side, Intel on the other. We have an Intel. I don't have much familiarity with AMD processors, so I kind of just try to stick with what I know. Alright guys, so we ran into a little problem. And I'm going to show you guys what I did just in case you run into the same problem. I couldn't find a solution on YouTube, so I guess probably because I'm using my factory motherboard. See, it came with that brace on the bottom, and the catch was my locking mechanism for my CPU here could not be locked down without that brace, and that brace had these little nuts on it, and they were soldered onto there. So either I had to go to the store, grab some new nuts, or what I did was I actually drilled some holes with a drill and drill bit so that I could put the CPU cooler's brace right over that factory brace. And now it was just sticking up just enough out of the motherboard so that I could put my little fasteners on here. So we should be good to move on to the next step. Hopefully we don't run into any more bumps in the road. Very cool. Okay, so actually we use this little tool here. Pop it right on over it, and it will fasten. Now what I'm gonna do next, real quick, show y'all. I'm going to install my RAM real quick because there's a chance that my CPU cooler there will that fan will probably get in the way of my RAM. So what I'm actually going to do, make sure you line up, there's one side that's short, one side that's long. We're going to line it up. Then you just give it a nice push down. And these clips here will actually, you hear that nice little satisfying click. They clip in on their own. I'm actually going to alternate these, try to keep the 8 gigabytes on the same channel. It really doesn't matter if you're using all 4 slots, but I don't know, OCD is kicking in now. And since my PC is going to be viewable now, I want to make it as pretty as you possibly can. pop her in. There you go. We've installed our RAM. On to the next phase of the fan here. Instructions are telling me to remove this sticker, the most satisfying part. Cool. We've actually taken the fan off for now just because it's going to be in the way while we install this. Next we got to do some brackets before we finalize putting in this CPU cooler. We have to apply our thermal paste. And I'm just going to show y'all real quick. They say I'm going to go with the pea-size method. You might some people say, hey, put a cross on there. Some people say, hey, put a little grain of rice on there. I'm going to go with the P for Patman. And we are going to drop just a little teeny bit of this onto the center. Make sure, first of all, your heatsink, your CPU, nice and clean. You don't want any residue, anything like that. And right on the middle. Do not put too much thermal paste. You do not want it leaking out. Alright, so pea-sized amount. Apply a little pressure, not too much. But you just want to get that thermal paste. You know, get that spreading out when you push down onto the, you don't want to push down on your CPU because that will not be good. Tighten that up. Just pro tip for you guys, when you're tightening anything on the motherboard or tightening down your motherboard, anything like that, go cross pattern. You know, do one screw then go across. You don't want to do it in a row. Alright, so we got our fan hooked up here. Just followed the instructions that came with it. And as far as cable management goes, for my CPU fan on my motherboard, it's right here next to it, so I decided to put it right here. I will probably try to manage that a little bit better. But now I'm gonna go ahead and screw in my motherboard. And remember, I told you guys do the cross pattern. This is really important. On a motherboard, you do not want to screw that up. I'm just looking at my I/O shield, making sure everything's lined up correctly, and it looks good. Now there will be like these little spacers, like I said, sometimes they come pre-installed, and other times you might have to. Looks like mine is pre-installed, and this one's gonna be a tough one. If we could just get a magnetic tip screwdriver, it will make life a lot easier. This one used to be magnetized, but something happened where I lost the magnet or something. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is Patman from the future here, offering you guys and my past self a little help here. So at this part, I was struggling because I couldn't find where all 4 of my motherboard pieces connected as far as the screws go. And it turns out my case only connected 3 of them, and I was worried because I thought my motherboard might, you know, be wobbly or anything. Turns out the 3 screws that did line up on the motherboard, it was just fine. It was nice and sturdy, so here I am looking like an idiot, looking all over to see where the hell the 4th screw goes, and I just didn't have one. So if your case and your motherboard don't line up like that, as long as you have 3, if you had 2 only, then I would start to worry, but I had 3, like I said, and it was just mostly the bottom part of my motherboard that wasn't connected, so it worried me a little bit. But don't worry, don't fret, I got you guys. Alright, I'll probably see you again some point in this video. Peace! Alright folks, next. The power. The meat. The potatoes of any gaming PC. The graphics card. Now, just for a size comparison. See, my wife always told me size doesn't matter, but she lied to me. This. My old graphics card. And this. The new dog in town, and I am extremely excited to test it. I bought this used. It was $100 off. It was only like a couple months. Well, the person said they only bought it a couple weeks ago, but it's a little dusty. So either they lied to me or they just have a really dusty ass house. But no matter, because this is like a $850 graphics card, and I got it for $700. When you're plugging your graphics card in, you're gonna go into the PCI EX16 slot. If you only have one, obviously that's where it would go. Some motherboards have multiple if you're gonna be crazy and put a couple of graphics cards in your PC for overkill, but mine only has one, so it's an old motherboard. And same thing like with your RAM, match up the slots. You see it goes short and then long, so match it up short and then long. These backings right here. And if you guys can see, there's a bunch of screws right here. We're gonna remove those. You guys know why the hell there's a USB-C slot in the back of that graphics card? Let me know. Oh, yeah, that could be it. Sorry guys, I have my buddy Crump on the line with me. It's my boy. Go subscribe to him and PewDiePie. He's catching up pretty quick to Pewds. Crump sucks. I'll edit that out, don't worry, Chad. Oh, okay. He said keep it in. Yeah, he doesn't upload at all, so if you guys love channel with no content, then Crump is your guy. Hell yeah. We just made it rain some metal there. Okay, now stop. Real quick, Patman from the future again. You guys have the option to go ahead and put your graphics card in now, but I ran into a small hiccup later in the video that I'll show you guys. But as far as plugging in your cables go, you might want to leave the graphics card out, plug in your cables first, and then come back to this part. Sorry.
Yeah, I just built this insane PC because I want to play League at 300 frames. Oh baby, it just slid right in, Chad. Just, ugh. I like it. Alright, so this bad boy takes up a whopping 3 slots.
Oh my god, it looks so good. Me too, dude. I'm hoping my cable management will be on point for a noob. Now, make sure you tighten this bad boy really good. I don't want no sag or anything like that. No sag, no lag. Especially on these bigger graphics cards, they tend to sag. So be careful with that. It's not a big deal, but you could get like you can get a brace, things like that. A bracket, I should say. We do have one problem. A slight problem, but a problem nonetheless. It is well, I guess it's not a problem. I should be fine, because I only need 2. It's covering all my SATA ports except for 2.
I only need 2, thank God, because I don't have a DVD drive in this computer. This case doesn't have a spot for a DVD drive, or else I would have just thrown my old one in, but I don't ever use it, so it's not a big deal. Next up, and finally, the power supply. We are going to screw this in. I'm actually going to attach all my cables. This is a fully modular power supply, meaning that you could plug in whatever you need to use and unplug anything you don't need. For now, I'm just going to plug everything in and then work from there, look at the motherboard, and plug it all in, and whatever I don't need, I'll unplug later. So everything's labeled, so you guys shouldn't have a problem. Okay, VGA. VGA 3. And this is nice because it came with like braided cables, not that ugly ketchup and mustard looking crap we had earlier. Hey, go lay down. Go lay down. Just connecting the shapes. That is as simple as that. Now with this, they're all labeled VGA 3 for me, but I have on the power supply it's 2, 3, and 4, but they're all the same. So plug them in wherever. Make sure you put it in the right way. I've seen videos say that you could actually put it upwards, but I'm putting mine downwards. I want the dust to blow out, but it depends on the circulation in your system. Some people put their fans in, different things like that. So alright, here guys, you're just going to screw your power supply right into your case. There should be 4 slots there. Alright peeps, first things first, we're going to do graphics card. So, I'm just going to do one cord at a time and fish it through the way I want it. Trying to do some proper cable management here because that is important to me to get right my first time. You hear that nice click sound? Oh, so satisfying. This one's only got 6 on that side. Actually, we're gonna switch this so that my lovely wife bringing me coffee, because I've been up all day doing this stupid shit. Not gonna lie, I'm having fun. It's not stupid, I'm having fun. Alright, so for this part, guys, you're just matching your shapes up. You're plugging in your power supply stuff to the stuff that's labeled on your motherboard. As far as your GPU goes, some will have 4 pins, 6 pin, 8 pins, I think. I believe mine had 6. My power supply supplied me with everything I needed. You just look at the shapes on the connector for your VGA, and then you go ahead and plug it on in. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. If I could do it, you guys can do it. Just didn't want to waste any more time showing you guys hooking up all the stuff because it takes quite a bit of time.
Go ahead, open.
I'm busy, if you can't tell.
Yeah, so.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
You're really not.
Yeah, I am.
I really don't like you sometimes.
Oh, well.
Good.
Yeah.
Feelings mutual. Alright, next we're going to do some of the cables that are actually included with your case. That being like your HD audio, your system fans that come built into your case, things like that. So first I'm going to do HD audio. I've fished it through the back. And now I'm going to show you guys. It's actually labeled. On my cable, it says HD audio. On my motherboard, it says F audio, front audio. I'm guessing F is for front. So just match the pins up. So wherever this one's missing one, so pretty easy to identify how to plug it in. Boom. Goes right in. And the nice thing about this, I'm loving this case so far. This is the NZXT H500. I think there's one that's like comes with lights and crap out of it. Not much for the RGB lighting just yet. I just wanted to keep it simple for now, save some money. This had a great deal on Amazon, so I was actually really happy with it. I think it was 70 bucks. I'll probably put a link down in the description for you guys. A system fan, or one of the case fans for you guys. Now, this is one I wanted to bring to your attention. My motherboard actually only has one spot up top here. It says SYS fan, or some may say CASC or CAS fan, something like that for case fan. So it could say either one, but mine says system fan, and I only have one slot, but I have two fans built in, and I could actually put a lot more fans, I believe, in here. So I could get a splitter, or if you guys have the same problem, only have one. I don't know if the newer motherboards have multiple, but they're splitters they sell on Amazon for like $5. So I'll probably have to get one of those just to keep this baby cool. Make sure, of course, your CPU fan is plugged into the CPU fan slot. Okay, so let's get one of those plugged in. I think preferably, I think I'm gonna want, for now, until I get my splitter, I think I'm gonna want this one plugged in. So let's find that cable. Alright guys, so I took a couple things out. I took the graphics card out, and I took the fan off just to give me a little room real quick, because this thing was a pain in the butt. I actually got it to work. I think the plastic was too hard fitting around the connector, so I just used this to poke a little hole, clear out maybe some plastic or whatever. It seems to be a lot better in there now. It was like I could pull on it before and it would pull right off. Had to apply a decent amount of force, but as long as we got it in, I guess that's all that matters. As long as the ports work, I should say, that's what matters. So let me put this back together and then we will reconvene. We are in the home stretch here. So I got stumped on this for a little bit. Hopefully I get it right. If I don't, I guess supposedly it's not a big deal. I could just troubleshoot it and fix it later. This won't stop the PC from working or anything, but I have this, my tower just came with this cable that said F panel. I do have something labeled F panel here, and I could just plug it in, I think, to that. But that's not how it was when it was plugged into my old PC. It had these little switches here, or connectors here, that were labeled just like this, but they were colored. This is a little bit different, and it looks like this fits right into there. Same amount of pins to the same amount of connectors. So I'm actually just going to plug this in to this. So I'm guessing it's like an adapter of sorts. That's why it's probably so short. And then specific to each motherboard, you'll have to look at your motherboard's user manual to find out where you should plug these into as far as which pins. But I had to look up a video on mine, and supposedly he said to make sure the words are all facing up, but I've seen other people say make sure they're facing outwards from each other. So it's just a positivity and negative thing, a positive and a negative positivity, a positive and a negative difference. So if it doesn't work, say your hard drive LED doesn't work, that's not a big deal because your hard drive will still work. It's just the LED. The same thing with the power switches. So it will still turn on, but it just won't show that little light at the top. So if you notice that it's not working, just flip it and it should work. If you also flip these over, you'll see little arrows on them. It'll be hard to show you guys, but I guess that means positive. So if you do have a user manual that tells you where to put the positive, look at the arrow to find which wire is the positive. So according to the video that I watched, he said power LED goes at the bottom. And then the negative P LED goes with the power. So I'm going to plug that right next to the power to the right of it. It's starting to get hard to see with all these shadows. We've been working on this all day, guys. Hopefully your build goes a lot smoother than mine. And then the positive P go next to the hard drive, and that should be good. We are almost done. At this point, just have to plug my hard drives in and mount them. As far as your SATA cables go, I'm going to use orange because that's my wife's favorite color, and blue because that's my favorite color. Eventually probably get black to match it better, but this will work. And your SATA goes right into your SATA ports, right there in the hard drive. I mean motherboard. I am tired, people. And it's just a little L shape. Okay. Alright, that should be nice and good to go. And then we just got our hard drives to put in. And that's pretty self-explanatory, to just mount them to a bracket, and then you'll see your screw holes. You plug them in there. You plug you got a power cable. It's an L shape as well. And then you have your SATA cable that I just showed you guys. You plug them into your hard drive or your solid state drive. Highly recommend solid state drive, obviously. Hard drives are pretty outdated, but I use 1 terabyte hard drive for pictures and videos and stuff for YouTube. And then my solid state drive for my the games I play a lot and my operating system. So I will probably post a quick video of it up and running. Hopefully, if you guys see this video, then I got it up and running. And I'll end the video with that, put the graphics card back in there. But that's how y'all build a PC. And if it doesn't work, then I probably won't upload this video. So if you're watching the video, then everything works and you could use it as a guide. If not, I'm not going to put it on YouTube because I don't want to look bad like The Verge. So did I do better than Verge? Let me know. Thank you guys for coming along the ride. I appreciate it. I can't wait to fire this bad boy up.
Wow,
Alright guys, so
very nice.
She is up and running. She's been running great. So got my little Master Chief in there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Here's my keyboard, mouse, got a big gaming pad. If you guys are curious, that is like 30 bucks on Amazon, really cheap. It's small, but I like it. That was 50. It's a really good wireless gaming mouse. This was 10, I want to say, which is really big for my needs. I like having a big mouse pad. I'm currently editing the video for you guys, and I just got my other monitor in. This one is 1440p, 144 hertz. This one's 4K 60, which I use for my Xbox One X. And this is cool. It actually came with like a little stand for headphones. I actually went and got off Amazon some $15 LEDs to put in the back of the monitors and in the case. So overall, really happy with it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a like for me, subscribe, because this took forever to make. So appreciate it, guys, and I'll see y'all next time.